Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Planted with Pisces. This is Leslie, and today we're going to talk about the basic setup of fish tank. Now I know a lot of you are past this point, but there are some that still need this information, so I thought I'd get it out here as one of my first videos. So, lucky for you, I just picked up this 20 long tank just about a week and a half ago, and I haven't done anything with it. But there will be a video later of how I'm going to set this up for my Cory cats. But for now, let's just go over the basics of setting up a tank. So first, you need to get your tank. I recommend at least a 10-gallon tank just because of the fact that it's easier to maintain the larger the tank you have, as well as you can fit more fish in it. So if you're looking to have multiple fish in a tank, 10 gallons or larger, 20 gallons is a great size, by the way, I would recommend, highly recommend. So when you first get your tank, you're going to want to rinse it out. Make sure there's no contaminants in it. If it is dirty, like mine was, I did wash it with some Dawn dish soap, and then I just made sure I flushed it or rinsed it really, really well before I set it up for my fish. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the tech that goes into the tank. So the first thing, the most important I feel, is your filter. So this is just a filter that came with the tank, but most people get an over-the-edge filter. There are different kinds of filters, but this I feel is the most common filter over the edge. So you'll want to get your filter, rinse it out as well, and then you'll want to make sure you rinse out any of the little cartridges that come with it. They usually have carbon in them, and carbon's very messy and powdery at the beginning, so you have to rinse it out. That also activates it when it touches the water. And then go ahead and put it into your filter. So there's a filter. Next, we're going to talk about the heater. So it depends on what kind of fish you're getting if you need a heater or not. So research the type of fish that you want, and then decide whether or not you need a heater. Just get one that's rated for the gallon size of your tank. I always recommend putting the heater by the filter intake. The reason for that is because the filter is going to suck in that warm water that surrounds your heater, and it's going to disperse it throughout the rest of your tank. So I would set it by the intake of your filter. All right, next, let's talk about, with the heater, you'll want to get a thermometer. And honestly, if you don't have a heater, you probably should get one too, just so you can tell the temperature of your water and make sure it's the correct temperature for the fish that you have. I would recommend putting this actually at the opposite end of your heater. That way you can tell where the heater might be lacking a little bit and where you might need to add more heat to your tank just because it's not circulating. Or you might even need to add more pumps or ways to circulate your water so that we can spread that heat and disperse it out. So we're not just testing the temperature of the water right by the heater. We want to test this farthest corner as well. All right. Now you don't have to put an air bubbler on your tank. I personally like them just because I like the look of them. I like that they, at least I feel that they add a little bit more oxygenation to your water. They also will help with the flow and the currents and mixing your water and making sure that that heat is getting dispersed and particles and stuff are getting sucked up by the filter and not just sitting. So with your air pump, you'll need, or with your bubbler, you need some sort of air pump. You'll need some sort of tubing. I use a check valve for mine, just that way if the power were to go out or something get unplugged, the water can't siphon back through and down into your pump and kill your pump. So I use a check valve, and what I do is I hook my tubing to my pump, and I measure to where my air stone, so that's the last thing is the air stone, where my air stone is going to sit, and then I give it just like a half an inch longer just in case. And then I will cut that piece of tubing in half and set this check valve in between those two pieces. So it's going to be connecting. So you'll go from the pump through a tube up to your check valve, have your second tube go up and into your tank with your bubbler, with your air stone. Okay? So this will sit outside your tank. And make sure with these guys that you're sitting even with the tank or above the tank. Okay, with your pump for your bubbler. Okay, so there's that. We'll say it goes over here. All right, next will be your lid and your lighting. So most tanks, especially if you buy them in a kit, will come with a full hood. For this tank, I didn't have a full hood, so we are going to actually use a glass top and a light that sits on top of that. So this is my glass top. Just set it up here like that. And it does come with a little plastic piece for the back to kind of cover the back because there's a gap that's about that big in the back. And it does have a cutout for the filter. And it sits on just like that. Perfect. So that's going to be my top to my tank. And then I have my light. So my light is just going to sit right on top of that. Now, like I said, most kits and things, or most people will buy the full hood that's like the big black kind of bulky looking hood, and that's fine too. Just make sure that you have a lid. Lid will help keep your temperature correct. It'll also help keep your fish from jumping out, as well as keep your evaporation low, because when you don't have a lid, you're evaporating quite a bit, and you're going to have to just keep refilling your tank a lot. So make sure that you do have a good fitting lid on that. So that's some of the tech. Now we can move on to decorating your tank and what you need for the inside other than this stuff. All right, stake off the top. Okay, so I have a random, random bag of gravel. This is kind of big gravel for what I would use or what I see most people use. Excuse me. But you will need some sort of substrate on the bottom. Gravel is just the most common that I see people use, beginner-wise. So what you want to do is you want to get 1 pound for every gallon size your tank is. So this is 20 gallon, I'd use 20 pounds of gravel. That's a minimum. You can do more if you'd like. I would just at least do the minimum. That way you have enough surface space for your beneficial bacteria to grow. Okay, so you'll rinse this really well, and I usually use just like a colander of some sort to rinse it out, and then you're going to put it inside your tank. Make sure that at this point you have your tank where it's going to go, because it's going to start to get very heavy with all this stuff in it. Okay, so gravel. All right, next you can choose from all different sorts of decorations. These are just a few that I had laying around. You can choose from things that are wood, like this little coconut hut or this cholla wood. You can choose rocks. You can do like my little tower, some of these little decorations kind of things. You can also do plants, fake plants, are probably what most people choose when they first start a tank. So you can choose from all different kinds of different types of fake plants. There's a lot out there. So yeah, so that's decoration wise. I always recommend more decorations. With plants, I like to do like foreground, midground, background plants. The more decorations and hiding places you have for your fish, the more the fish will actually be out, because they'll feel safer. If you only have a few decorations because you're like, oh, I just want to see my fish, I don't want them to be hiding all the time, they're actually going to hide more, having less places to hide, because they don't feel as safe. So you'll need to make sure you have lots of fun places for them to hide and to explore. That way they'll feel safer, and then you'll see them more. So once you have all of your decorations in place where you want them to go, you have your filter ready, your heaters ready, your bubblers ready, then you will go ahead and fill up your tank. Okay, and you'll want to fill it up to the top, and then you'll want to fill also your filter. That way when you plug it in, it's not going to, it won't be able to suck up the water from out of your tank, and it might burn out your motor. So make sure you fill your filter with water, okay? After that, I would recommend using some kind of water conditioner. It doesn't have to be this brand. You pick up a water conditioner at your local pet store. And what this does is it makes your tap water safe for your fish. It removes the chlorines, the chloramines, so that they cannot harm your fish. So after you add in that, just follow the directions on your bottle. They should tell you how to use it correctly. After you do that, you'll want to let your tank sit without adding anything else to it for a minimum of 3 days, up to 3 weeks. You can do it longer, let it sit longer if you'd like, but most people get really impatient. Some people can't even do the 3 days, but that's my minimum that I recommend, making sure that you don't have any leaks in your tank, your filter's working properly, your heater's working, the temperature is correct, and all of the above is just doing well before you add any fish or do anything else to it. All right, so that is the end of today's video. Thank you guys for joining me. Next time on Planted with Pisces, we're going to go over the nitrogen cycle. I hope you guys will join me for that. That's a very important piece of information for fish keepers to know. Thank you guys for joining me, and we'll catch you later.